This is for the players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Josh Saunders.
And this is For the Players, the PopCulturists PlayStation podcast. Almost 40 years of playing PlayStation and 5+ years in the games media combined. We thought we'd throw our hats into the ring and join that PlayStation conversation.
If you would also like to join that PlayStation conversation, you can do so every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, iTunes and other podcast services. More conversation happens on our Facebook community group page at facebook.com/groups/thepopculturists. But the most conversation happens on our Discord page at you can get a link for that in the video description below. If you happen to really like what we do, please do consider heading over to patreon.com/thepopculturists. Check out the tiers there. There might be something there that interests you. Now, before we get started, we need to address a few things, right?
Yeah, so we're at EB Expo 2017 in the Gold Coast. Obviously, we're not in our studio, so we're in a very echoey nook of the hotel room.
Yeah, so we apologise for the poor lighting and presumably poor audio.
And I feel sorry for this couch because I'm sinking into this couch so hard. I believe these cushions are made solely of air, not actually real cushion.
Also, if you didn't notice, my face was painted just a little bit.
Yeah, we're given the option to like, hey, do you want to get God of War face paint? I'm like, yes.
It felt good. Being like center of attention. You know, people are walking past as my face gets painted. It's like, whoa, you look
You got the beard, you
look
look
like
so
the
good.
sick beard. It looks like Kratos. Oh my god. That's
Pretty much how it went down.
And it's all cool, like having all this at the convention center, because you know people are like, oh, it's Kratos. Yeah. Then we like walked to get like Domino's, and then like walked into our hotel, and then I walked outside to have a cigarette.
Scared some old woman.
Yeah, scared an old lady, and now I just want to get it off. So yeah. So we're going to talk about PlayStation at EB Expo 2017.
Yeah, so at EB Expo, there was PlayStation had pretty much a massive, what's what I'm looking for? Presence. Man, we were also really tired, by the way. It's been a very long day, so we'll see how we go. But we want to kick things off.
I don't know where you were going with that.
Fuck me either.
Okay, well, let's start from one end and then just through our heads work our way through. Yeah?
All right.
Instead of going from here to here and then forgetting things.
All right.
So we'll start at the very first booth, kind of Detroit Become Human.
Yeah. So Detroit Become Human is the latest game from Quantic Dream. It's scheduled for release in 2018. So to our big surprise, it was actually playable here.
Yeah, it was a game that to this point I was like, whatever, that's cool. Now I've played it. It's fucking incredible. Like, it's, so far at least, it's my game of show, like overall. And I like that because it's such a choice influenced game that me, you, Dylan, and our buddy Watson, we each got a different outcome at the end. We all succeeded in the mission that was given to us, which was the E3, the skyscraper.
So it was the demo from E3 where you are playing the character of Connor, who is an android interrogator. You are sent to a... what was it, Dylan? Hostage negotiator, not interrogator, sorry. Very big difference. So you go to the top floor of this building where there is a family where a android has gone bonkers. His name's Daniel. Family servant, and he has kidnapped a small child and has him at gunpoint on the edge of the skyscraper. Her, sorry. Oh, it's fucking rooted. So the whole idea is you need to save the kid. That's priority numero uno at this point. So the demo itself is separated into two sections. The first being you walk in, you investigate the house, get as much information as you can, and then you wander onto the balcony to begin your negotiations.
Oh, you're passing to me?
Yes.
Stroking my sweet beard. Yeah, so I liked how... I guess the main thing that got me is that even though, yes, they are androids, you know, in the name it's Detroit Become Human, and they were very, very human in the way that, obviously, the emotions, because the reason Daniel, the family's android, has kind of gone crazy is because he found out the dad was ordering a replacement unit for him, and he's on the balcony as you're having that discussion with him, negotiating with me, he's going, you know, I thought they loved me, I thought I was part of the family and all that, and it's like, that's fucking weird for an android to say, dude. And you can go different routes about it. You can get a gun, and you lie about having it. You can use it towards the end if you want to. You can sympathise with him. You can. I think the guy in the booth, I heard him say to someone else, there's 66 different
Potential
branches of how things go. So one ending the ending I got to the mission was kind of edge your way closer to him, to the edge of the skyscraper where he's standing with the girl, and he goes to shoot himself, and I ran forward, I hip and shouldered him off the cliff, in the same motion threw the girl back onto the thing, and I died with him. It was like mission success. But it wasn't perfect because I died as well. You got a different ending the first time.
Yeah, I got a very different ending. So I should also address the fact that in terms of the 66 branches or whatever it is of potential outcomes, it all stems from one, how much information you gather in the first section, and two, how the negotiations go.
How you use that information.
That's correct, because all that information will then come into play with the negotiations. Like there will be certain branches of conversation that you cannot access because you don't know. Like you don't know that. You don't know they shot this person. You don't know that there was a gun. There's all these things that you don't know where they come from. For me,
you could go into it without even knowing that bad android's name if you didn't learn it.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to not know it. But it is possible. So the way it works on like a percentage. So when I investigated the floor the first time, I got about 75% of the information that I needed. Then as I went on to the balcony to begin the negotiations, I was able to, because it tells you what your estimated percentage of success will be. So depending on how your negotiation goes, obviously that increases and decreases depending on what you say.
With every response you give, the percentage changes based off what you just said.
Correct. So obviously I was able to tick all the right boxes and I got like a 99% success rate, which means I saved the girl, he let the girl go, he wandered on over. And I'm like, put the gun down. He puts the gun down, and then he gets blown apart by SWAT. I felt really bad. So that was the interesting, different outcome. So like I was able to get what I thought was going to be the perfect outcome, that he would be able to walk away and something. Because I understand it's a robot that may be able to like reprogram it. And like within the 5 to 10 minutes that we were doing this and we were having that discussion with the character, like it's the mocap, the way it's written, like the way that it's performed, it is so emotional in such a short period of time. Like when the girl was set free, I got this nice sense of relief. And then because you're saying all the right things, but sort of I was saying the right things, but sort of the true things as well. I'm like, whatever. So then when the girl's escaped and he gets shot, I get this sinking feeling in my gut. I'm like, oh man, like I thought I was saving you, like that.
No, you saved the girl. And then the second time I played it, I got a different outcome where I just capped him in the head. I did it, yeah? Kind of walked up, edged my way closer and closer. Like, do you have a gun? Nope. Got closer and closer and closer. And then there was just an option that I must have done the right dialogue choices for execute and just... But when I pulled the gun out, he goes... You lied. Like the bad guy, the bad robot looks at me. He's like, "You lied to me."
Same.
And then you cap him.
He says the same thing. So when we're in the perfect ending, after he gets shot and he drops to his knees, he's like, "You lied to me, Connor." Yeah. And it's like the way it's delivered. It's in such a way you're like, "Ugh," and like it totally pulls your insides out a little bit.
Great game of show, but there was a lot more.
Oh man, see, like the thing is, like, so, and then what we just like that was what we played for that two. We just did it twice. Dylan, different outcome again. Buddy had a slightly different outcome. Now it looks as if no matter how the branch is out, it looks to come back to a certain 4 probable choices. But how you get to those 6 possible choices, but how you get to those choices is very different.
And what happens in between, more because you were saying like on your way in, he shot another cop. But you can actually go and like bandage you can help the cop that got shot, or you could just fucking leave him there. And it's kind of how you get there and everything. It's cool. But next to that was
it was GT Sport. GT Sport coming out on October 17, latest in the Gran Turismo franchise. What they had here is they had all the racing seats. They had they had 3 or 4 in VR, and the rest, about 6 or so, were just standard GT Sport. Now I didn't jump in there. Gran Turismo, not really my thing. Racing sims, not my skill set. But yourself?
Man. Yeah. But we did watch a kid play Demolition Derby.
Yeah, a kid did not understand the sim part of Gran Turismo, and then proceeded to drive across a hill into another car.
So, play how you want. That's cool.
So like, and plus VR car racing makes you want to hurl, so I had no interest in heading over there. But keep moving on. Now, speaking of VR though, so when they had GT Sport, then up the next little column there, they had a bunch of other VR games. So
I didn't play any.
You didn't play any?
Yeah, you played all of them.
I played 2. So on the media presentation night, they had Bravo Team, which is the new shooter coming out. Not quite confirmed on the date yet. They had the Farpoint gun, the aim controller. That looked to be fun.
Oh, they're still using it for stuff.
Yeah,
That's good.
they're bringing it into some other games now. So they had the aim controller doing that sort of stuff, which is great. Then next to it had the Inpatient, which the Inpatient also replaced the Bravo Team booths. Bravo Team was there today. Oh. Interesting. So the Inpatient is essentially an Until Dawn prequel. It takes place in like a mental asylum about 40 to 60 years before Until Dawn.
In Until Dawn, on the cabin in the hill you're in, you do end up going to an old abandoned mental.
I think it's the same one.
It's probably the same one.
Yeah. It was really good.
I've got the video footage of the jump scare because all the guys at the booth were like, "Do you want to record him like getting fucking scared?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So these two guys like collaborated like to let me know when it was coming. I got on film. It's funny. I like it.
Like it wasn't like blah, but it was a good. So the whole idea is you're essentially like sitting there. You're being not interrogated. I guess somewhat being interrogated by the dude with the glasses, the old dude with glasses that you see in all the trailers for Impatient, and he gets right up in your shit constantly. One of the things it does have, though, in the same vein of Until Dawn, there's dialogue choices that pop up on the screen. So you're talking to him, say you're the camera, right? So the camera is the character we're talking to. To his left, there's, one option. To his right, there's another option. So you look at it and trigger your option. So you still get the same dialogue choice style that you would get in Until Dawn.
Cool.
And then behind the sentences as well, it also gave the emotional inflection as well, sort of add an extra layer to it.
Yeah, well, watching what was happening on the screen, I guess there was two parts, because when you got into the second part right before it ended, where the jump scare was, it just seemed to like up the ante from like 3 to 10. Like it was just, I heard the music like doom 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 doom, and then it's like people like something's jumping up at the screen.
Yeah, and there's this weird like half moose, half person in the shadows.
Yeah. So it looks scary.
It was pretty unnerving.
Is it PSVR only?
Yes.
Fuck.
As far as I'm aware.
Fuck.
That's fine. You play it at my place.
You don't ever have it plugged in.
I'll plug it in for you if you say I want to come play Impatient. Yeah. Because we did with Until Dawn Rush of Blood. All the Until Dawns.
Yeah. But you haven't played Until Dawn anyway.
No, because it's very scary.
It's not real.
For me, it is. Anyway. What else? While we're there, we played... I played another VR game. Played Skyrim VR. What was the best game 2011?
Yeah. So tell me, Ryan, Josh from PopCulturists here.
Oh, hi. How you going? Yes.
So you just played Skyrim VR.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how bad it is actually with the Move controllers?
It's pretty boring.
Thanks, Ryan. This was Josh for the PopCulturists. Elaborate.
All right, so I was playing originally with the motion controls. Now, what was the big giveaway? Right, is when the woman, she's like, "You played VR before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have." Cool. She's like, "All right, here's the move controls. Heads up, you can play with the DualShock. Don't worry about it. It's fucking fine. Please know that you can play with the DualShock. Right, this is not the only way to play it." I'm like, "All right, cool." So what it has you doing? So you have obviously the two controllers, each controlling one of your hands. I had a sword and fire. So you use the thumb button or the T button, whatever the fuck it's called, to use that to teleport. Like you do like the hopping, like we did in. I know, a bad game. Teleporting's poops.
Yeah.
It's not the best way to play VR. And then in order for you to pivot, because there is no thumbstick, you have to use like the square and the X button on this thing. So it's like
That's disgusting.
it's really janky.
You'd think with when they brought the VR, they would have just added joysticks and move controls. How much would that solve?
I would hope to think they're working on that tech. They would have to be. It'd be stupid not to.
With the feedback that they're probably going to get from Skyrim VR, they must. But like, how was it being in that world in VR? Though?
It is fucking awesome. Yeah. So where they drop you in, it's one of the first little temples that you see. So when you head in, you first go to, I think it's Riverrun. Is Riverrun the first town?
Are you thinking of Game of Thrones? Riverwood.
Riverwood, thank you. So there's Riverwood is the first little town that you come across, and then they ask you to go up to a little thing to find the Golden Claw for the shopkeep. So you go up there, and it spawns you right sort of near the top. So you look up and you see a dragon flying overhead, and it looks insane. These are running on PS4 Pros, I should add. So it did look a little bit cleaner than normal.
everything was running on PS4 Pro.
Yes, that should be a disclaimer. Yeah, so you look up and the temple thing, the little ruins looked fucking huge. The dragon looked imposing. The height looked real. See, because the thing is, one of the first games I played, well, actually, literally the first game I played in cinematic mode when I got my VR was Skyrim, because I wanted to be immersed in that world. And it just happened to have come out really recently.
So, do you think that... what was I going to say? I mean, yeah, it's cool and it looks good and it's immersive, and obviously with the DualShock it'll be, so much better. But do you think it's a bit dirty that it's a separate game and not a patch? Like, I don't know how development works and all that, but I know there are other games that have just patched in the VR and stuff, but obviously not to the scale of Skyrim either. Do you think Bethesda should have been like good guys and just made it a free patch, or do you think they were justified in charging $80 to $100 Australian again?
I would say...
I feel like I'm interviewing you
That's
right
fine. Now. I would say it is certainly not worth the full price they're putting on it, because it's once again, it's a 5-6-year-old game. Granted, it's VR. I think you make it a patch, and the patch is $40.
I don't know how that would work logistically.
I would say $40-$50. That's the best way to get about it. One, you're moving units of your Ultimate Edition. Yeah. And then you're also doing a patch. Now, granted, I understand that it's not simple to make this happen. To run a world like that in VR would be incredibly demanding and would take sufficient dev time. Because
I'd imagine they'd have dropped the graphics a bit to be able to do it all in VR and have it run smoothly. Does being in VR like make up for the loss of fidelity that you'd get playing it? Like the remastered... I mean, if you put the remastered version next to the VR version, I guarantee you the remastered version will look better in every way. Does it being in VR make up for that?
With what I had to play, because if you look at all the branding for Skyrim VR, it's not Skyrim Definitive Edition VR, it's Skyrim Edition. It's Skyrim VR. So I have reasons to believe it's running on vanilla. So, probably the one from 5 years ago in order to make that possible.
I think you mean 6 years ago.
What did I say? 6 years ago. So I think once you get into it, because I could certainly see myself getting super into it. Granted, I wouldn't play with the moves because the swinging and the stuff kind of took me out of it more, which is weird. But plus the DualShock, I think I could spend a lot of time in there. Granted, yeah, you get a lot of little jaggies and stuff that you get with, VR, because it's not like as sharp as it could be.
Okay. Moving on from there.
In summary, move controls is stupid for this game. I think with a DualShock, it'll actually be a somewhat viable VR game.
So next up from there was Call of Duty World War II.
Which I spent a lot of time with the beta, so we decided not to really jump in there.
And I didn't jump into it at all because the Call of Duty line at EBs are always the worst. Behind Battlefront, which had like a 4.5-hour line at EB 2015.
Yeah.
Battlefront surprisingly not there this year too.
Yeah,
which was weird. But in this really big booth, so you couldn't even see in there. I don't know why. So I don't really care about that. But then was the God of War experience.
Yeah, so God of War, this is the new one coming out early next year. No playable demo. So it was more of an experience. You would come in, you sat in a room that had a couple of screens in different locations, so not everyone's looking one way, which I thought was really clever, having 3 screens, a bunch of beanbags. And
see, when we walked in there and he's like, there's no playable, there's nothing new, I was like...
Well, I also knew that too, because when it came to promoting the event, they referred to it as the God of War experience.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that, but I don't know, it was just kind of deflating, I guess. But essentially what they showed you was the trailers you've seen thus far, but with director commentary over it.
From the game director.
From the game director himself. And he's kind of explaining the choices of why they've done some things and what influenced them and what motivations are and all that kind of stuff. And I walked out going, more hyped for it than ever. What the game director, I forget his name, sorry, but hearing him speak about what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish with the game, probably gave me more hype for it than being able to play through what we've seen from the demo. Yeah,
so what they essentially did is he sort of broke down, as you said, some of the decisions they made. So it was like, okay, so look, we've moved the camera angle, however, this is allowing this. So they talked about how the scale of God of War is still there, as in the big fuck off things you can climb and do and look. But rather than the devs telling you where to look, how they would do in the past with the God of War's fixed camera angle, now by having it third person behind Kratos, and you can freely move
Well,
it.
it's also-
you're allowed to take in the vista into its best.
Yeah, and that theoretically the whole game is going to be one cut with no loading
That's the
screens.
plan at this point.
That is insane.
Yeah.
As he was describing
burped
that,
directly into the microphone.
as he was
Said
just
pizza. Pizza
it's
makes
fine.
burpees.
we had like 4 pizzas just then. But yeah, as he was explaining that, you did see the footage go from him killing something into a cutscene and then into him running off again. And there was no like cinematic black bars that come down or anything. It was just all one thing. And
And we should mention credit to Detroit as well. Detroit did the exact same thing.
They did
So
too,
at
actually.
the start of the, you ride an elevator up, and then it's just you're in the game. There was no fade. It was just sweeping camera shot, and you're in. I'm like, why am I not moving?
Reminds me,
I need to do moving.
Reminds me of Final Fantasy back in the day when a cutscene would finish, and then you'd stand there, and you're like, "Well, what's happening?" And then you move the joystick, and you go, "Oh, it's me now." Oh, okay. But with God of War, I also like how he said, you're not really going to know when you're fighting a boss because all the enemies are. All the enemies are going to feel like a boss fight, or
Yeah,
for the majority
everything's
anyway.
gonna feel that
Everything's big,
intensity.
everything's going to be intense, everything's going to be quite difficult. It's all going to feel like boss fights, and that's just
Because the one thing I always wanted to show is that the combat is still as frenetic as it's ever been in terms of like it's still fast, it's still movement. Like they
And-
showed how that you could go from using your axe thing, so use your axe and then you throw your axe and then you'll bring your shield out, use the shield, then the axe will come
Yeah,
back and you'll
so-
switch between the two. And
Shield's not just for defense. Kratos fucked shit up with that shield. It was incredible.
and then of course it finished off. Of course, like you don't know. And then it ended with some mocap footage, which is available online at this point, of Christopher Judge being Kratos, and they're doing the scene, the boat. where
It's
he's
so
driving the
weird,
boat.
like seeing the actor and the voice, because I never looked at who Kratos' voice actor was or
He's
anything. like
Tilk from Stargate.
that. And just seeing him like speak and hearing Kratos.
So that's my in for Millie. Like Millie, you should check out the new God of War game. She's like, why? I'm like, it's Tilk. She's like,
Ooh, buy the collector's edition.
yes, man.
Outside from that was their PlayLink area,
Yes.
which we muck around with because we've played the PlayLink.
It's
stuff.
party. It's the party games. That's you. They also had a couple of other ones. They had what was the other supermassive one?
I forget.
I blanked out entirely what it was called.
They had more.
Yeah,
PlayLink
there was That's You, and there was 2 other play links as well. But yeah, we didn't really jump into them. Not for lack of not wanting to. It's just
There was a lot of people
there's
waiting
a
to
lot
play
of
that.
people waiting.
Now, in that PlayLink area was where I got my face painted.
Yes, they had a little strongman Belle and 2 lovely ladies who were doing makeups
All day.
All day.
I saw them. We were waiting for Detroit towards the end of the day, and I saw them like packing their stuff up.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a long day of like painting dudes white.
Credit to like them, and credit to PlayStation Australia for organising that, because it's such a simple and really cool idea.
Well, like when we were waiting for the pizza, like 6 dudes walked past with Kratos' face. It was awesome. And then they even had Kratos' like his leather
His shoulder strap
thing and a hammer, not the hammer, but a hammer.
Yeah, it's like essentially the hammer for a strong man. It's probably the closest they could get.
I got some sweet looking photos.
Oh, if anything, it showed us what you would look like because when we have some things planned for the God of War review when it comes out next year, and this pretty much solidified what we have in mind, and it worked really well.
I would make a better Kratos than you and Dylan. I think that's a given.
Oh, duh, because you have a
Your
beard.
lack of facial hair.
Yeah,
is
like,
like-
if you want to imagine what like Kratos did instead of fighting Zeus, he just went and had pizza and hang out.
That's you guys.
Yeah, that's me. Like Kratos on the couch,
Then they had games that have been out for a while. They had Lost Legacy playable. They had Crash Insane Trilogy.
Yeah,
playable.
so on the inside they had like what they were calling it was like I think the big sign said hashtag for the players since whatever, and we're like
No,
it's
it's
like technically we stole it, but it's ours. Yeah, and they had
That's our name. You can't use that.
so they had like FIFA, they had Madden, they had Crash, they had Tekken 7, they had a bunch of games that are already come out that a lot of people may not have spent time with, and then on the outside of the booth they had Destiny 2. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and then around the corner they had WWE 2K18, so the one that's coming out later this month.
Apparently, it's really good. Apparently, 2K
looks
like
clever.
really
Looks really good.
kind of started to turn things around with
Yeah, and to
WWE
their
2K18.
credit, no microtransactions
So far.
so far.
And then the very last game on PlayStation. See, I think we had the 2 best games at PlayStation that Sony had there. One at one end was Detroit, and then directly opposite all the way the other end was Monster Hunter Worlds. Game's cool, man.
Yeah, so I spent a couple of minutes with it because I wanted to see what it was like. because you've been jerking this game like hard, right? In a good way, which is fine.
Sensually.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, cool, let's check this out. And then I started, and it's like, do this and jump. I'm like, this is way too dense for like a 15-minute demo.
I don't know if by the time this goes up, there'll be like my solo video talking about it up, but it's a hard game to demo.
My kind of looks like I'm trying to like kiss you this whole time.
It's been like this the whole time, I have noticed.
Yeah. It's only because I'm too fat, but like it's kind of...
Hey. It's a hard game to demo because Monster Hunter is renowned for having incredibly... Probably the deepest RPG system any game has.
The lengthiest prep for battles.
Yeah, so you don't just you don't get a quest to kill that monster and then go and kill it. You know, you need to track it, you need to plan traps, you need to kind of think about where you're going to try to lead it through so you can have your traps ready, appropriate potions and elixirs. Like it's a process. And it's a very hard game to demo because of all of that, and because you dumped in, and you know you got all these resources and stuff. You know, I don't know what any of this fucking shit does. Thankfully, the missions they gave you to do, you could do just by they were easy ones. You could just run up and just start smashing it, and you'd get it eventually anyway. So I did one of them, and I found it super enjoyable, man. The combat was like super heavy, like you felt the weight of your swings. It will be a great game, but it is a game that. Yeah, you need to play from the start, and you need to kind of learn one thing at a time, other than having 20 things dumped on you at once.
Yeah, I think I understand why it was sort of tucked to the side and like maybe 4 booths is simply because it's tough. It's a tough one to sell.
You said it.
It's tough.
You said stuff.
But it's different inflection.
See, it's the game. People will know if they want it or not.
Yeah.
Already.
And it pretty much solidifies what you already knew, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what I thought it was, and it seems to be even deeper than I thought it was, which is fine because I love those kind of games. But yeah, just walking up and jumping in for 10 minutes is not the way to experience this game. But it was there, so I was happy it was there anyway.
Yeah, no, so overall, the PlayStation booth itself was fucking rad. It was really well set up. There was a lot of cool stuff there.
They had... For the third year running that we've been there, they had the most floor space of anybody else there. Shout out to Nintendo though; their area looked fucking fantastic.
Yeah. They may have had less floor space, but they used a lot of vertical.
They had a lot of floor space, but yeah, they were like all the way up to the roof. It was really bright and everything. You know, it was great. But you know, Sony always have the most presence, and they did this year too. I feel like there wasn't as much to be as excited about because all the games we are excited about still quite aren't there yet. We didn't get to play God of War. There was obviously no Days Gone.
Which baffled me. Like Days Gone, not so much because there's no expected release date for that yet. Not even 2018 at this point. But God of War is scheduled for early 2018. So at its latest, we're looking at March, right?
Well, it pretty much means there's no more conventions for them to show footage at other than PSX.
Or PAX. They
won't do anything at PAX.
No, PAX Australia, they're not going to do anything. But PSX, I think there'll be some big
PSX
time
in
at
December,
PSX,
it'll be there. But as in to get it into people's hands at conventions, at least for Australia, we're out.
We're done.
We're not getting
unless you know we get an invite. Looking at you. Hey Flo, help a brother out.
To America?
No, to come and play. Oh, that would be even better. I meant just to play it before it comes out. That's pretty much the point at this point. I don't know, anyway. My house.
Just send us.
We're going to the Sony offices in Melbourne.
So we know this has not been the usual episode of For the Players. We know we are super tired. We know we didn't do all the segments we normally do. But you know what? We're at a convention.
Yeah, like we did this for us and you, but mostly us.
I really don't know how to wrap this up. If you like that PlayStation conversation, you can join in many more every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, iTunes, and other podcast services. More conversation happens on our Facebook community group page at facebook.com/groups/thepopculturists. But the most conversation happens in our Discord channel page. You can get a link to that in the description below. And if you happen to really like what we do, please do consider heading over to patreon.com/thepopculturists. Check out the tiers there. There might be something there that interests you.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Josh Saunders.
And that was For the Players.